Meanwhile, in the sprawling suburbs of Corby... Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Happy Thursday. Today, thought we were going to do a marathon build. So we're going to be doing stages 9 to 20. That's 2 packs of the Fanhome release of build the 1966 Batmobile. Look, 2 packs to do. This is because I've been at Wonderfest and I never got a chance to actually do any of these. But we did get a free gift, just so you know. Look at this. In this massive pack here, we got some prints, and I'm going to show you them. I was going to show you them on my cameras here, but they are so big that I'm going to have to do it this way round. So, that's the first one. Watch out, old chum. Looking like that. We got this one here. Good one of Adam West. And then finally, we've got Burt Ward and Adam West. Look, check it out in the Batmobile. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? And they're the prints. So today, as I said, we are going to attempt, or I am going to try and attempt to do all 12 stages of this. If you want to get this for yourself, I have put a link in the video description, and there's also a QR code on the screen. I haven't looked at any of these, so I haven't got a clue what we're doing. It does look like there's quite a bit to do, so we're going to see how long this takes. I will tell you the recording time of this at the end of the video. But without further ado, let's get cracking. So it's going to start with stage 9. Each stage has its own magazine, so I will show you that. But this is the magazine for that. And we are going to be still working on the engine by the look of it. So we have got another cylinder head by the look of it and a manifold here to go in. We've got some piping to do as well, which it looks like we're going to be putting on there. And we're going to be cutting that into different lengths. So that is now going to look like that. So just a reminder, this is what we did previously. And we do have the sump part of this as well. So, here is stage 9. I do love how each stage does have this little card in it. And the first thing I do is create the cylinder head. So I need these 2 sections here. This is solid metal, this is plastic. But this is just going to be going over the top of this section, just like that. Now I'm just checking to see if there is a way that this goes. It doesn't actually fit the other way, so you've got no danger of putting this in the wrong way. Now it's held in with AP screws, which I've got here. And screw these in from the bottom. So one this side and one the other. What I want to do now is, if you check each side of these out, on this side here I've got some slots, and in those slots I'm going to want to put the manifold. Now the manifold just goes over this way like that, so it fits over the points in the middle. You can probably see that on the top camera there. Now this time these are going into metal, so I'm using oil and AM screws. So one there. And one on this side. Now we've got a right radiator feeding pipe to put in. That's going to be going into the small hole just here. So it is quite a tight fit by the look of this. But there you go. When it's in, it should look like that. All I have to do then is take some CM screws, and I'm going to be driving these into the holes here. So one in this side. And take it out, because what we're trying to do is make sure that this thread is cut tightly in here. So just keep doing this to ensure we've got that all the way down. Definitely use oil for this as well. Do the same on the other side. That will ensure that we've cut a really good thread in there. All I've got to do then is, in these 4 holes here, I've got some spark plugs to take off the sprue. So I'm using my sprue cutters here just to clip these off. I only need 4, so I'm guessing that we have a spare at the moment. They sort of go in at an angle like that when I'm putting them in. So let's get all of these in. Excellent, that looks like that. And I'm now in a position to actually take what we created in the last pack and put this on top. It actually goes on this way. It's going to fit on top like that. It's held in with those CM screws. So I'm screwing it in from the underside here and get them nice and tightly in. And now you can see why they wanted you to do a test fit for this, to ensure that that is in nice and tight. Now, this is going to be the ignition wire here. Now normally I'd actually put some 5 amp cable down here so I can shape this. I'm just going to check if I've still got some. I don't know if I actually have got some, but I do need to cut these into the lengths that we've got here. So I can use the magazine for that, because the magazine is exactly the right length. I had a check. I don't actually have any wire, so unfortunately I am just now putting these in just like this. So the first one is going to go into this point here and into the first spark plug. This is the 70mm wire. Tweezers are going to be your friend for this. We just basically work our way up them. So with the distributor, we skip a plug and then we go to the next plug along. And this will be going on the next spark plug. Once again, skip one and put the next wire in. This is going into the third one. And finally, the fourth one in here. And there you go. With those all in, that should look like that. And that's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 10, here's the magazine. Working a lot on the engine by the look of it. So we're going to be doing now the this phase. You're going to be assembling the carburettor and the intake manifold. Look at the little tiny bits we got on here. Wow. So putting all this together. So now that's looking like that. And here's the parts for that, including this wire. So tiny parts to put in first. I need this part here. And that's going to be going into the semicircular hole just here onto the carburettor base. Now the part I've just pushed in is the thermostatic choke. Okay, with this I'm going to be putting this on this massive section here. It's going to be going over the top of this section. Hopefully you can see that. And it's going to be held in with AP screws. Now I need 4 of these in each corner. Now either side of the holes here I'm going to be pushing in the fuel inlet and vacuum line outlet pipes. This is one here which is going to go in this side like that, and on the other side here I've got this one which goes in this way. So I'm hoping on the top camera there you can see exactly how these look. Okay, now this pipe I've got here I need to cut into 2 lengths of 60 mils. Now this time they haven't put something in the magazine to help me, so I will just cut this here at 6 and there at 12. So this is going to go onto the fuel inlet, which is on this side here. And again, tweezers are your friend for this. Get that all the way down. All I've got to do then is take this top, looking like that. I want to line up these 2 lugs on the top of the sections we put in with this section. So I'm just going to rotate it round until I've got this into place. 1 and 2. Push that down. Then take an AP screw and put that through the centre there to hold this in. Excellent. Put that to one side. And I need this part here, which is the top of the carburettor, and the flat needle plug, which is going to plug just into the side here, into the hole that's vacant. Like that. I haven't glued any of these, if you notice. They are quite a tight fit. Then I want to take the base. This has got a D-shaped pattern as well, which is going to be going onto this. And again, it's a push-in, nice and tight. So now we've created that section. Now this whole section is going to fit on top of what we just created here. Now the lugs on each side are slightly different. You've got a larger one there and a shorter one there, so it goes in that way round. Put that to one side. And now I want the throttle control lever and side bracket. Quite simply, the D-shaped hole on this side is just going to go into this side of the control lever. You see it's a nice fit in there, nice and tight. Bring over what we've been working on, and this is actually just going to be going onto this section here. There is a locating lug in here, and it's held in with an AP screw. Just like this. There we go. That's seated perfectly in there. So I've got this vacuum line fitting now, and the 60 mils that I've got left over, I need to push onto one end here, just like that. Now, the rest of this pipe, 10M here, goes on the other end, I'm guessing. They don't actually tell me what length that is, so I've just left that as the full length there. And I'm going to be basically pushing this into the top of the intake manifold. It's going to go into the hole just there. So lining it up with that hole, push that in like that. Get it straight. There we go. Now on the underside of this, I've got a bracket to put in. The bracket's just going to go over these 2 points here. So this is going to go on top and fit like that. Again, held in with AP screws. So I'll get these in. And then once again, I'm going to bring over the engine now. And this is going to be fitting onto the 2 points here and here. Now this one is going to be held in with a DM screw. Going into metal, so a bit of oil. And get that in nice and tight. Now we're not attaching anything to that side, but what we are going to do, so I'm just going to be taking the pipes that are coming from here now and putting this into the top of the distributor here. So the 2 pipes that are coming from this here, this one here is going to go into the top pin in the side of the distributor here. Might be best just to take that off actually while you're putting this in. Get the pipes in first like this, because I haven't glued anything, and then this one's going to be going underneath. And when you're happy with how that is, I can just plug this now into the side of the distributor. Just like that. And with that done, that's all there is to do in this stage. I certainly can see this being a marathon build. This is stage 11. Here's the magazine. And again, we've got some more pipe and some more bits to go in here. Putting this together, so at the end of it, it's now looking like that. Here is stage 11. Lots of tiny details. Now this is interesting because both of these parts that I'm looking at here are actually metal. So all I'm going to do is take these 2 parts. One's got a locating lug, so one's going in that side. In the other side, I'm going to be putting an AM screw. Now this is the engine connector being connected to the bracket here. So get that screw in. I have put this in oil. That'll ensure that's in nice and tight. Then this is going to be going onto the side of the engine block here. It actually fits on this middle section there, just like that. And once again, AM screw from the other side. And I want that as tight as I can get it. Perfect. So now that's looking like that. Now right in the bottom here, underneath the block, you can see I've got a hole. That's going to be for this oil pump, which I'm just going to push into here. It is a tight fit, but there you go. That's in place. Bring over the oil pan that we created in the last packs. We're now going to be putting this into place. This is actually just going to go on the bottom here like that. I'm holding that in with 2 AP screws. And you can get your screwdriver through the gap in the top of that engine block there. So one that side and one this side here. And then as you can see, we've got an oil pan hose here. The free end of this oil pan hose is going to go onto the part that we just put in there. So that's connected like that. Put that to one side. I'm just going to assemble the fuel pump now, which means I need a couple of sections. I need these 2 parts here. I'm going to be putting the D-shaped hole from this into this base here, like this. Make sure that's nice and flush together. And then on this little nipple that we got coming out the side of the fuel pump, I've got a lead, which came in this stage, which I can wiggle on. I'm not going to need tweezers. That's looking like that. Now, if you look at the back of this fuel pump, we have got a lug. That's just going to be pushing onto the side of what we've just created here. It's actually going to go into this point just here, facing down. So I'm pushing that in. And then finally, as you can see, we do have an oil filter, which is just going to go into the hole next to that bracket, like that. And there you go. That is all there is to do in that stage. In stage 12, here's the magazine, looking like that. And we are now going to be working on the other cylinder head, pretty much like how we first started this pack off. So once this is done, we get to mount this, and we actually get to put the gearbox in as well, by the look of that. This is the gearbox that we created in the last pack. So that is now looking like that. So here's the parts for stage 12. Just to save time, I am just going to cut these spark plugs, 4 of these, off the sprue. And then just like last time, I'm going to be putting the top of the cover onto the cylinder head here. Hold that in with AP screws. I am just going to whiz through this because we've done this before. Put the left radiator feed-in pipe into the hole here. You want to hold this at the base. So that's in just like that. Once again, get some oil on a CM screw. And I want to just drive that into the side here to cut a thread, so we're not going to have an issue when we put this together on the engine. Put the spark plugs in, the 4 holes. Once again, take the manifold. I've put this slightly out of order actually, but that's going to go slide into there. And that's held in with AM screws. And then this whole thing is just going to be going on top of this section here like that, held in with those CM screws from this side. Want this in as tight as I can get it so that there's no wobble on top. That's now looking like that. Slightly longer wires now to do these sparks, so I'm going to measure these to the magazine. We've got a 100mm, 110mm. I mean, they don't have to be perfect. 120mm, and finishing up with 140mm. So now these are prepared for when we're doing the spark plugs, but we're now going to be piecing everything together that we've got. So I want to take this side here first, and the gearbox, and that's just going to be fitting over the lug that you can see just there. Now once that's in place, I'm going to be taking the other side of the cylinder head and piecing this together over here, like this. Making sure everything is in place. Perfect. Just like that. Now once again, that's going to be held in with CM screws through the 2 holes that you can probably see on the top camera here. And you want these in as tight as you can get them. Once I've done that, I'm going to be taking the starter motor, which we did in stage 5. Let me just move this out the way here. And that's just going to be pushing into the pin here. There is a locating lug, so it's just a case of rotating that round to ensure that's fitting flush in there. Perfect. Just like that on the top camera. Now, this time, the shortest wire I've created is going to go into the closest to the first spark plug in there. I'm going to have to put my magnifying glasses on for this. And I'm going to be putting that into the first spark plug. And then I'm going to continue going around here, putting the rest of these in. Now I'm sure I could make that tidier, but that's all of those sparks in on both sides now. And that's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 13, here's the magazine, looking like this. And we have got assemble the crankshaft pulleys. We're doing the pulleys now. So we're going to be adding this section to the engine, still building that engine up like that. Well, this certainly is a marathon build today, isn't it? Okay. So first thing I want to do is I want to be taking this side of the cylinder block front and putting the dipstick into place, which just goes into the hole just at the side here, like that. Put that to one side, and I'm now going to take the oil filler cap, put this on top of the filler pipe. That just pushes in. Oops, I don't know if it's shaped, but you have a look at that actually. I'm ramming it in without actually checking if it's shaped. Kind of. Kind of. But there you go. That's in like that. Turning this over, this is actually just going to be attaching onto the inside section of this, just here. Goes over the lug. There, you see? So I can push that in so it's nice and flush in there. Then this whole thing is going to be going on the engine. If I can just move that pipe out the way, just onto this end here. So it's going to go on just like that. Okay, we're going to hold that in with AM screws. And it's going to take 3 of these AM screws. So 1 in there and just 2 below it. Now we're going to be putting the water pump in place. Now the water pump goes on here like this. I'm going to kind of hold this in with my hand, because if you remember in stage, was it stage 8 I think, we had a generator bracket as well, looking like that. That's going to need to go on, probably best on the top camera, into that hole there. So when I'm actually putting all of this together and screwing this down, it's going to be holding that bracket into place as well. So rotating the alternator around there. So this is going to be going underneath the alternator like that. I'm going to be holding that first in with an AM screw just into that hole there. I don't actually need the water pump in place just to do this bit. Make sure that's going through the bracket as well. So there we go, that's one side in. And then I want a UP screw, just like this. Perfect. So that bracket's now holding the water pump on one side and this alternator on the other. Now for the other holes in the water pump, it hasn't asked me to put anything in there yet, just so you know, so I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is put the next part of the pulley system in, which means I need to take this base here and I need to put different sections, whoops, on top. So I've got 13L first, which looks like this, and we do have 2 holes in that, and that goes down to make the first part of the pulley. Then I've got 13H, which is the next one along. Get that rotated round so that can go in like that. The final one goes on the end, and then this section here is going this way round to make the pulley system looking like that. I do need to hold all of this together when it's on the spindle. So again, just move that wire out of the way. This is going to be going on here. I'm just going to push this all the way down. It's so tight that I'm swamping the shaft in oil, and I'm going to be screwing this in with an RP screw. That's these flange screws here. And perfect. That's in nice and tight like that. And with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 14, here's the magazine. And I guess we're continuing on with the engine. We've got more of the pulley system to put in place, which we're doing here. And the fan, cooling fan, just like that. So at the end now, that's looking like this. Again, lots of tiny pieces in this one. Now this is metal, so the first thing we're actually going to be doing is taking these 2 pieces here, and I'm actually going to be putting these together like that. These are metal, as I said, holding these together with an AM screw. Now I want to create the power steering pump, which looks like this. Putting both of these together, it has got a keyhole pattern, so it can only go in one way, like that, held in with a BP screw just from this side. Now once I've got that, what I've just created here is just going to be going onto that there like that. On top of that, I've got like a little pulley, which is going to go over the top there, and that's going to be held in with an RP screw. That's one of these flange screws here. I need the power steering reservoir, which looks like this, being pushed on top here, there. That's how that's looking now. And this is going to be holding in that water pump now, because this is going to be going on top of that section just there. Hopefully you can see that on the top camera. Holding that in with UP screws. So one in there. Excellent. And just one at the other side down here. And that's the water pump in securely now as well. So we're going to be creating, let me just show you what that looks like. We're now going to be creating some pulleys. So I need these 2 sections looking like this. They're just going to go together like that to make one pulley. I've got the back section for that, which is labelled with a number 2. And that's going to be going onto this top shaft. Now I want that number 2 to be facing out. Just slide that in all the way so it fits comfortably in there. Then I can put this next section in. It has got locating lugs, so that will push that all the way in. And finally put the top cover on here as well. Now I'm not doing anything with that because I have got parts of the fan to put together now. So the way this fan goes is basically we've got this in sections. If I just take this bottom bit, you can see we've got a gap in the top there. That's just going to go into that slot there and push that down. And then this final section here that I've got is just going to go into that point just there. So that's how easy it is to create the fan. Now I do need an RP screw at the ready because I'm just going to be putting the fan now onto the end of this section. Rotating it round so it fits in. And there you go, that holds that fan into place. Absolutely lovely, and that's what it looks like on the top camera. Now, of course, you know me, I forget things. So we're supposed to put the belt on now, which I should have done at the start. That's going to be going around this end motor and this pulley just here. So that's one belt on now. But for the two left, you would have thought they would have me put this on before I put the fan on. But no, want to make it difficult. So the two belts we've got left are just going onto these bits around here and over this side of the alternator. So I've got one on there. Trying not to twist them, you see. And then just do the same with the second one I've got here. And that is the belts into place. And that's all there is to do in that stage. Continuing on with the marathon. Here's stage 15. Here's the magazine. And we're moving away from the engine now. Look, we've got a bit of the chassis that we're going to be putting in. They're providing a screwdriver as well. So that's looking just like this. Nice quick stage. Look at this massive size box this is. Can you believe we're only 15 stages in to how much we've actually done? What with the engine and the bonnet and the windscreen, and now we're working on the chassis. And basically all we're going to do is we're going to be removing the screws of this section here. Now this is just a transportation bar. This isn't part of the build at all, but they put this in like this to stop it warping in transit. So we can actually take this out and discard it. But that was a quick stage, wasn't it? That is how big it is. Let's move on to the next stage. So here is stage 16. Here's the magazine. And what are we going to be doing? We've got some tweezers in this one. Check this out. It looks like we've got, is that a spring or a bracket? Oh no, it's just extending onto the chassis here. So again, another very quick stage, this one. I do think it was a good idea to bundle two packs together because it was looking like this pack. There's not much to do. Here are the tweezers. I've got hundreds of these as well. And all I'm going to do quite simply is I'm just putting this bracket, these are all metal, just onto the top of that one there and holding it together with a GM screw. All of this is metal. Now for the weight of the car, it's going to be metal. So get that nice and tight in here. And then I'm bringing over the part of the chassis that we got just into the last stage, have it this way round. And I'm going to be putting the rest of this over the top here, but this time securing it with EM screws. So one there. And one in the other side. And with that done, that's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 17, here's the magazine. No idea what we're doing. Again, we've got some parts now. Looks like one of the wishbones for the suspension here. We're going to be putting this into place. Now, this is the bumper. Installing the bumper. Interesting. I thought it was something to do with the suspension. I was way off. It does look like a top mount, though, doesn't it? So that's now looking like that. So here's all the parts for stage 17. Again, not a lot in here. In fact, it's looking very quick what I actually have to do. I've got a bracket here, which is plastic, going onto a metal. I swear this is a wishbone. They say it's a bumper. It looks like a wishbone to me. That's going to go into that section just there. Oh, it is actually metal as well. I just had that in my mouth. Okay, it's metal. And I'm going to be screwing this in with 2 AM screws. So one this side and one the other side. Then I've got this cross member here, looking like this. Now with the cross member, I need these AHM screws, and I'm doing exactly what I did with those CM screws before. I'm going to dip these into oil, and I'm going to be driving the thread in these to make sure that when we actually attach this, we're going to have no problems putting this in. Now a PH1 screwdriver is your friend to cut this. I don't think you're going to get the torque on it that you would with a PH0. So as you can see, I'm using a bigger screwdriver here. Okay, all it is then, it's a case of taking this cross member here and putting this section on here like that. And again, it's held in with one of these AHM screws. So let me drive the screw through here first, and then offer the cross member up to this, and that will ensure I'm screwing this in straight. And when that's in, that's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 18, here's the magazine. Clicking through, I wonder if we're going to be doing the other side of that. It looks like we are. We've got another cross member in here as well. Again, putting a bracket in. So this is looking like that, and then we're going to be attaching this. These are definitely suspension parts, not bumpers. I don't know what that's all about. And that's then going to mount the engine in there like that. So it's looking just like that. So open up stage 18. We know exactly what we're doing now because we've done this before. Which once again means I'm going to be putting this bracket over the top and securing it in with AM screws. Doing the same thing with the cross member that we just did previously, which means just driving the screws into these holes here to ensure that we've got a nice cut thread in there. So I'm happy with that. So take that back out. But what I am going to do is bring over the original cross member we had, because I'm going to now put this on this side here, just like that. Once again, held in with one of these AHM screws. And ensure that goes in nice and straight. Because we've already pre-threaded that hole, it's easy to get in, as you can see there. And then on the other side of this, we've got this cross member, which is going to be going into these 2 points here and here. This way round, again, with these AHM screws. Easiest way, put one screw through first and then offer the cross member up. Don't do it in too tight, just enough to get the other side in. And once you're happy, make it as tight as you can possibly get it. There we go, that's excellent. Now I'm going to bring over the chassis we've been working on and having it this way round. I'm going to be putting this into place. Now the way it goes, now if you fold these sections down like this, the way it goes is just going to be sitting on top of this section just here, and then these can lie flat, kind of like that there. Now they're going to be held in with the CM screws. Now I need 4 of these, and that's going to keep this into place. So that's the first one going in. I've just got one here, here, and here to put in. All I'm going to do then is take these 2 parts of the engine where we put mounting brackets on and make sure that those brackets fit into that cross member just here, like that. And I'm fixing that in with 2 AM screws. So one in this side. Make that nice and tight. And then just one in the other side here. I just need then 1 CM screw to just fit the front of the gearbox assembly here into this hole here. Make sure it's lined up and get a screw in there. Now that engine is fully mounted into place, and that's all there is to do in that stage. Now I do have this left over. I can't remember if it's told me to actually fit this yet. It looks like in the picture they've got it in. It looks like, if I just turn this over, they've got a lead coming out of this side somewhere, but I can't see where that goes at the moment, so I'll just leave that here for now. So the penultimate stage of these 2 packs, stage 19, here's the instructions. And I'm going to be putting, looks like an anti-roll bar in place. So putting this sort of trim around the chassis there, and then I have got these points here for the bolts, and then the anti-roll bar is going to be going in there as well. So here is stage 19. Let's get everything out here. Bring over what we've been working on. And these are labelled left and right. As you can see, they've got stamps left and right. So if I have this way, we've basically got this short piece which is stamped with an L. This is the left side, that's just going to go on there. And the longer piece, which is stamped with an L, is going to go on this side over here. And pretty similar to the other side. This one's stamped an R. That's going to be going in, let me get this right. This one in this way. And then this big one in this way here. And I'm securing all of those down with AM screws. Gonna need a few of these, so I'll come back when they're all in place. Now I need these KP screws, just open them up, because I've got the first stabilizer link just to put in the end hole just there, and I am attaching that with a KP screw from the other side. And then I'll do exactly the same on the other side. And there you go, both of those are in place. All I've got to do then is just turn this upside down, and probably best on the top camera, I want to just put these up like this, put the sway bar underneath like that there, drop them back down and clip these into each side. So one in that side and one just in that side there. So there we go, that's that sway bar into place. Now I need to keep this in so you can see I've got some brackets to go over these two sections here, one in this side, one in this side. They're held in with AM screws. You know what, these were surprisingly difficult to get in, but there you go, that's in. And that is all there is to do in that stage. So in the last stage of this pack, this is stage 20. Here's the magazine. And we've got some parts for the suspension by the look of it, which we're going to create here to create our first suspension part. I am going to check this wire. I'm sure I should have connected this earlier on. We'll have a look at that at the end. But that is now looking just like that. So I want to take this part of the suspension first. And I'm going to be adding some brackets to either side. So I need one just at the top here, like that. And I also need one down the bottom. Now they are slightly different. The longer one needs to go on the bottom. There. Now they're held in with WM screws. Now those screws go in from this way. So just ensure that when they go through, they engage with the hole on the other side. Let me use my PH1 screwdriver for this. Perfect. So that's one in. Just going to do the bottom one. So that's both of those in, looking like that. I'm going to assemble the upper suspension arm now, which means taking this section here and this arm piece looking like that. Now I want the hexagonal sides to be facing out, the round sides to be facing this side here, because that's going to go in there, held in with CM screws. I do want this nice and tight. Anything to do with suspension, make tight, otherwise you're going to have wobbly wheels, which you don't want. Excellent. Once I've done that, I've got this wishbone. This is going to go either side of what we created, so it's going to go this way around on here. It's held in with EM screws from each side. Now bringing over the chassis with the engine again. Now we want to put this spring through the middle of this section here. What I would do if I was you, I'd disconnect the anti-roll bar, just like that, which will enable you to easily put the spring in here. Then I've got to take the center spindle through here, make sure it goes through the spring like that and comes out the top, and I'm going to be securing that in from the top with one of these AIM screws. I'm sorry about the dogs barking again. And that will hold the suspension in place there. I'm also securing it in with two AM screws just from the bottom here. Now I've already got one in here ready to go. I'm just going to be putting one in the other side. And then once you've done that, just clip the anti-roll bar back onto this support like that. Excellent, so that's in place. Now, holding it this way round, the last thing to do is just to put this hub carrier into place. It's going to go into the end, just into the hole here. You can see that on the top camera. And once again, one of the flanged aim screws will keep that into place. Let's use my other screwdriver for this. And then the only thing to do on top of that is what we created at the start. That's just going to go over these 2 points here and here, and the top's going on that. Now in the back screw holes, I'm going to be putting CM screws. And then finally on the front, once again, one of the aim flange screws. And with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. I just want to check now if we do have to put this in somewhere. We do have to put it in somewhere. It's basically going to be going into the gold pin that we've got just there. So what I'm going to do is drop just a little bit of glue on that, because this is the lead. If anything's going to come out, it's going to come out there. And I'm going to plug one end into that. Now this lead from the starter motor, it hasn't told me to do anything with yet. Now I'm thinking that's meant to be going into the middle socket of the distributor. I don't know if I've missed an instruction there, but it hasn't asked me to do that. I could do that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to see what you peeps think about that, because the instructions haven't told me to do it. But there you go. So that was an epic build for a Thursday, wasn't it? Look at all of everything we've done. That is absolutely crazy. Looking good. If you want to get hold of this yourself, I have put a link in the video description. There's also a QR code on the screen, but I really hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Total build time for this was 2 hours, 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Take care.